hello everyone. My name is Jerry Strauss, and this is Hollywood Happy Place, the very first edition of Hollywood Happy Place. Thank you so much for checking out this show, whether you found it on HollywoodHappyPlace.com, on iTunes, or anywhere else where we are or will be available. This is going to be awesome, guys. This is going to be an opportunity for me to do what I love, which is relax, kick back, and have conversations with some of the coolest people on the planet, whether it be from the world of TV, movies, sports, music, whatever the case may be. Just trust me. Anything that we do on this show, it's going to be with people who are interesting, who are entertaining, and whom, if you don't know or are familiar with yet, you're going to love. Now, just a little intro to get out of the way, since this is our first time out. Many of you may have followed me here from a lot of writing that I've done over the years. I've been sort of a freelance run and gunner for a whole load of magazines and websites. You may have caught my stuff on Pace.com, Live Happy Magazine, Edge Magazine, a lot of stuff in New Jersey, and certainly well beyond that as well. So if you have checked out, read, bought a copy of anything that I've done in the past, thank you so much, and thank you even more so for following me here, where you're kind of stuck having to hear me instead of just read me. But trust me, it's going to be worth it, because we're going to have fantastic conversations, no word counts, no advertisements, just freestyling, just relaxing, talking. And I want this to be an oasis. We call it Hollywood Happy Place because, like a lot of you out there, I'm on the internet all day. I'm on social media all day. It's part of what I do. And it's very easy, I think, to get inundated with negativity, to get caught up in politics and things that are happening in the world, and people just being critical of every little thing out there, to the extent of just being uncomfortable. It's enough to really stress you out. And, not that some of these issues aren't important, because of course they are, but it's nice to have a break. It's nice to say, okay, for this amount of time, I'm going to focus on something purely for the entertainment of it and not worry about some of the larger looming issues of the world that will still be there when we get back. So I hope that this show, in the days and weeks and months to come, is that oasis for you. I know it will be for me. And definitely this first edition is a great one to kick off with. Mayim Bialik. You know her from probably the top show of the past decade, The Big Bang Theory, as far as ratings, as far as dollars and cents, as far as syndication. It's not only a great show, it's also an inescapable one. You've seen it, you've seen the stars, and of course you've seen Mayim excelling, which is why she's always in the conversation at awards season. And of course, many of you may know her from her former life as the star of the show Blossom back in the 90s. I certainly remember her from back then, and she's got such an amazing story of, basically being a huge teen star, walking away from Hollywood entirely to go to school, to get her PhD, to concentrate solely on science and family, and then coming back and landing on the biggest show in the frickin' world. So, if for no other reason than that, she's, quite frankly, a genius. I'm sure she would tell you that none of it was planned or really done on purpose, but I don't care. She's a genius anyway. She's really smart, and she's great to talk to. I've interviewed her on a number of occasions, and she is so knowledgeable in so many different facets of life that, I've interviewed her for science magazines. I've interviewed her for entertainment magazines. And here we got to chat about her book. It's called Girling Up. This is her latest book that came out this year. And it's this really cool, almost like a manual for young girls who are facing their teens, facing adulthood, just sort of a comprehensive look at all the things that young ladies face as they do, in fact, grow up. And it's done in such a great way. It's so informative, but never judgmental, never bossy or nagging or anything like that. She's just out to create this book to let you know what's going out there in the world once you get older, to give you suggestions. That's what Girling Up is all about. That's what Mayim's all about. And that's primarily what we got to chat about here. So this is just a great little warm-up, a great kickstart to HollywoodHappyPlace.com, as she certainly is in a very happy place back in her Hollywood career now, the second phase, perhaps, of her Hollywood career. So this is it. Mayim Bialik and me, and hopefully you guys sticking around till the end. So away we go. So I am on the line with the fantastic Mayim Bialik. How are you, Mayim?
I'm okay. Hi.
Hi. And of course, you know, you are doing a whole lot of talking lately about an exciting new project. Your book, of course, Girling Up, How to Be Strong, Smart, and Spectacular is, of course, all online outlets now. I have so much to talk about with this book. Such a cool concept for it. But I wanted to ask you, first of all, about the cover, because the cover is this great picture of you dressed as a superhero. The metaphor is clear, but I wanted to ask you, was this your idea, and how?
So actually the cover is, I mean, there's a lot of aspects of this book that I think are interesting in terms of what I was trying to do and how it tied into the way the media wants to present this kind of material. And the cover is a great example. Originally it was pitched to me that we do kind of a pretty glamour shot of me, you know, with my hand on my chin, looking very smart, you know, with glasses and appropriate sparkly makeup. And, you know, I rarely put my foot down about things firmly, but I said, absolutely not. I said, if I'm writing a book about girls feeling empowered and feeling intelligent and embracing their quirky sides, I want to be presented as the pretty girl wearing glasses on the cover of this book. So I actually suggested that we do something comic-y and superhero-y and empowering with, you know, me in sneakers the way I always am. And I'm really that Jill Santopolo, my editor at Penguin, and everybody on our creative team was able to kind of get on board with more of a playful and quirky kind of cover and book, a look for the whole book, as opposed to a sleek, who's celebrity scientist, which kind of makes me nauseous.
Do you, I mean, obviously we see you every week on TV, and we know that you've been kind of living in that comic book culture for quite some time. Are you a fan of comic books and comic book movies and superheroes and the like?
Yeah, so I'm actually the genuine nerd on The Big Bang Theory. I'm a person who was raised in comic book stores and record stores. My father, of blessed memory, was a comic book collector, as was my brother. My brother's actually a comic book artist. So I grew up really immersed in this culture and as a lover of all things superhero. And as I've gotten older, it's gotten a lot more, you know, rich and nuanced, as it were. I read graphic novels throughout junior high and high school and into college. Actually, my application to get into Harvard was about Art Spiegelman's Mouse. And yeah, I'm like a proper X-Men fan. I cry in superhero movies. I very, very interested in comic book culture. I feel very at home at Comic-Con, so I'm the real deal. And actually I have a website, Grok Nation, which I started sort of to show more of that side of my personality, and also have been developing my YouTube space, which has done really, really well, really by me just being myself, you know, wearing my various superhero T-shirts and talking about the geeky and nerdy things that are important.
That's really awesome. And I'm going to ask you a little bit more about Grok Nation in a second, but just going back to the idea of how this book came about. And of course, this book is a follow-up to other books you've written. You've done cookbooks, you've done books dealing with parenting, and now this, I guess in a way you might call it somewhat of a how-to book or a guide for growing up. What goes into the decision-making process to not only decide to get into writing a book again, but what it's going to be about?
You know, I'm the first person to say that I think it's really obnoxious and pretentious when, you know, celebrities write books and it looks like they're just doing it to make money and it's stupid. So I've actually been very selective my first book about parenting really came about because I was writing for Queller.com at that time, and there seemed to be a lot of desire to hear, kind of my perspective on my style of parenting and sort of what that meant for my family and how it impacted us. And, my second book, honestly, came out of, again, me sharing recipes and people saying, we want more recipes like this. Can you please put out a book? And this book, I've been approached by a lot of different publishing companies to kind of put my face, again, like on a shiny, happy science book for girls. That's not what I wanted to do. And it was Jill Santopolo from Penguin who reached out to me. She had read an article I wrote on Graph Nation about what it's like to be a late bloomer and to play one on television, and loved the way I spoke about Amy and Sheldon having coitus for the first time in such modest and kind of humbled tones. And she said, I think this is a voice that a lot of girls would resonate with, especially because you're not coming from a conservative or a religious perspective about it. And it was from that email that Jill sent me that I proposed that I basically do a version of kind of Natalie Angier's Woman in Intimate Geography. Natalie Angier is a science writer from the New York Times, and I proposed that I basically do what she did for women and teaching women about their bodies and themselves through other species. I proposed that we teach girls about themselves through learning about kind of the cultural experience and the scientific experience of being female, and how it varies across culture and how your hormones actually play a role, how stress affects your body, and really an entire, a mini encyclopedia of being female, and that's really how this book was born. So it feels like it had very honest beginnings.
That's great. And as a side note, I got to say, because I just read one of your blogs like moments before we were speaking, and I love your commitment to using the term coitus when it relates to Sheldon and Amy, because it's like it should almost be trademarked to them in society at this point. That's
our writers 100%, but it's so much better than saying sex. I don't like to say sex all the time.
So you decide to write a book. You decide you have the direction you want to go, the idea. Based on where books are now in our society and how they, take in media, or maybe some media is being left behind a little bit, is there any sort of kickback from anyone in your world saying, maybe a book is not necessarily the best project for you to leap into? Maybe you should be focusing on other things. Is it kind of something you have to almost fight for in a way, even though it's your project?
It's a great question. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm kind of a yes and kind of person, meaning the true kind of space that I'm being encouraged to spend my time and my money and my energy and really make a personal investment in is the YouTube space. And and that whole world has become really a part of my life in ways I never even understood or imagined. However, I think that for things like this, there still is room for that. I'm an old-fashioned person, and I get that. I was old when I was 10 years old. So at 41, I know that I'm like a dinosaur. But I still have the reference books that I used as a kid for learning about my body and my brain. Obviously, they're very outdated and not as all-inclusive as, I decided to write growing up to be. But I think there still is room for that. And I think also, a lot of times we think about sort of media by, what's flashiest, and we think about, every teenage girl following Kim Kardashian. But there are many, many pockets of this country and of this world as well.
You mentioned before about your sort of ever-growing presence in social media and YouTube and just sort of putting yourself out there more and more and more. Was that something that you kind of had to gain a comfort level for over time, or was it something that you jumped into easily?
No, I think that's an ongoing process, and actually I credit my creative partner. His name is Emmanuel Shalev, and he was actually part of the Yeshiva University Maccabees, is how he and I met, which was a modern Orthodox men's a cappella group that gained tremendous YouTube success and had their video go viral several years ago. And he was, one of the creative forces behind that. And he and I started a friendship based on trying to understand our place in the media world, honestly, as prominent, observant Jews. And what started as a friendship several years ago has now grown into us as creative partners. And a lot of it is him pushing me to believe that someone cares. I'm a very self-deprecating person. People assume I'm very confident. I'm actually not. But having a creative partner who understands this world so well and is really pushing me to be brave and pushing me to find an audience that does care has been really instrumental. And, as an actress, I'm constantly being told I'm not pretty enough, not skinny enough, not sexy enough, not right enough for a part. Like, that's literally what my job feels like most days, most years. So to find a space, and again, I credit Emmanuel with helping me with this, to find a space where people do care. I don't have to be prettier or skinnier or sexier. I just have to be me. That's really powerful, and he's really encouraged me to pursue that and to really start writing towards that audience.
Mm-hmm. And you've felt that feedback. I mean, I have to imagine that it's something that you're feeling is working. But do you feel like the world is kind of getting to know the real you more and more as you continue to put yourself? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Emmanuel, he claims that I'm possibly the most authentic celebrity there is in terms of, like, I really do present myself as I am. I do my own hair and makeup for my YouTube videos, and I wear my own actual, concert T-shirts, and I literally write what's in my brain and what's been in my brain for so long that I used to just rant about to the people closest to me, and he draws it out of me and helps me make it cohesive in a way that's presentable. And the fact is, I don't do a lot of light stuff, and I don't do a lot of fluffy stuff. And my editor for Grok Nation the other day said that her editorial list looked like this week. It was like Crohn's, colitis, fibromyalgia, sexual abuse. Like, she said, this is literally like what my life is. And I said, well, I'm trying to do light stuff, but, when we've done videos like about why not to call women girls, which went viral and has over, I think, 9 million views now, mainly through posting through Facebook, which was very interesting, or when I did science and religion, or I did a video called You're Too Emotional about my hyper-emotional sensitivity. I mean, we got feedback from people saying, like, no one has ever made me feel like I'm understood the way I am. A lot of people are on the spectrum and really resonate with what I talk about, which, that's great. And I just feel like if we're creating that space, I think that's really, really healthy. It's healthy not just for me, but it's healthy for people to like material that's not, quote, just flashy, or, not a sexy scientist taking off her clothes while explaining, the Big Bang Theory.
Right. Absolutely. So going back to the book, and, this is something, first of all, the book is great for those who haven't checked it out yet. And I think it's really remarkable how you were able to kind of achieve a tone that doesn't say, it never seems to say this is what you need to do or this is what you should do, but this would be something great to try, or you might want to think about things this way, and here's why.
Right, I was very careful about that, so I appreciate you picking up on at least my attempt.
Yeah, no, and it's not preachy. It's just truly helpful for those who, obviously, if they're reading the book, want it. So it's a great chord to strike. What would you say along those lines to teens growing up? In today's day and age, with so much opinion and so much information out there about things like politics and things going on in the world, even to the point where celebrities have become so vocal at times about their opinions about those things, celebrities who may be, role models or idols or just people that they have pinned up in the inside of their locker, Sure. What would be your advice to teens growing up on how to sort of disseminate and sort of pick and choose and figure out what information they can really hold on to and find their own beliefs from?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's important to remember that it's not that celebrities are having opinions, it's that people are having opinions, and some of them happen to be celebrities. There's no more or less weight that we should put on a famous person using their platform than not. I debated this a lot when I was deciding what to speak up about and what not to speak up about in terms of Trump and in terms of Planned Parenthood and in terms of Israel, all these things. Yeah. I didn't grow up in a world where celebrities had this much weight, in terms of their opinions. But I think that there are many non-celebrity related places where you can learn about all of these issues. And the fact is, there's always going to be room for people to disagree about things, and that's America. I happen to, advocate for more love, more understanding, more openness, more safety regarding rights and human rights and things. So that's just where I fall politically, but I'm just another person.
Hopefully that in and of itself is a message that people and, that kids growing up today will get to understand, because...
Yeah, I don't get to pick and choose which celebrities, people pay attention to.
Right. So you mentioned Grok Nation before, and I wanted to touch on that one more time, but, a great hub for people to get to know you and a lot of the things that you care about. What is the sort of the mission statement, or what kind of itch, might you say, does Grok Nation scratch that's different than, your book writing endeavors?
Sure. Well, I mean, Grok Nation has become a place for other people to write as well, which is helpful for me, just because I can only do physically so much. But yeah, the idea is that, Grok Nation is a space to think deeply about things that are meaningful and important to people. And on any given day, that can be something very serious or something less serious. I'm not a celebrity that has a lifestyle that needs to make a website about it. I was asked, like, oh, is this a celebrity lifestyle site? And I said, unless the lifestyle is thinking, no. So, we are a website for people who collect thoughts and not things. That's how we started when we started Grok Nation. And we have contributing writers, and we have, I've started interviewing, people that I think need to be interviewed, meaning people whose voices we otherwise might not hear about. So that's been really enjoyable and interesting. And that's still the place that I write. I write about, my process in grief. My father died 2 years ago, and that's been an ongoing series that I've written. But yeah, it's really a space for all sorts of things, and people who want to contribute to them.
Cool. That's Grok Nation, GROKNation.com.
Correct.
Yeah. That's all I got, Mayim. I'm good.
Great. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry for all the time differences, but I'm glad we finally figured it out.
No, it worked well. Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So there you have it, folks. Mayim Bialik and I just chatting it up, as we have been known to do, as I think this was maybe my 5th time interviewing her. Always entertaining. The thing I love about Mayim is that she's so smart. And sometimes when you talk to people who are just levels smarter than you, it's almost like you can't even talk to them. It's like they speak a different language. They think a different way. You can't even relate to one another. But Mayim never talks down to you. She never makes it seem like she knows she's smart on a higher level than most people. She's got the knowledge. She enjoys sharing it, which is why she's always writing books and, of course, working on her own website, Grok Nation. And she's just a really, really cool person, and funny too. Obviously funny with a script, but just genuinely a funny person. Great to talk to. I hope you guys had fun listening to it. And I hope you had enough fun that you're going to check out more episodes of Hollywood Happy Place. We've got a lot more coming up. Our 2nd edition, I'll tell you right off the bat, here's a teaser for you. I spoke to one of my favorites from back in the 90s as far as the movies that I loved. So many movies that this young lady has been in. And of course, I'm talking about Joey Lauren Adams. You might remember her from the Kevin Smith movies. She was the star of Chasing Amy, which is 20 years old this year. That's sobering. She was also in Mallrats. She was in a lot of other stuff, too. Everything from, what is that Adam Sandler movie? Big Daddy. She was on Married with Children, a fixture on that show. Very unique voice, very unique personality. Great conversation with Joey Lauren Adams. So make sure you check that one out. And, of course, everything else we'll be uploading and offering to you in the future. Check out HollywoodHappyPlace.com. That's the easiest place to find all the latest episodes that we are going to be giving to you. And, of course, you can check us out also on iTunes and all the other places where we will be available. So, until then, I'm Jerry Strauss. We'll see you next time.